The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Wednesday, the 11th day of October 2023 already. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, and Lindos. I'm Jamal Hartman, and Maya Palacio will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Well, they call it Hump Day, folks. It is the middle of the traditional work week. Say traditional because the work week has changed. It is changing. Actually, someone sent me an article this morning about AI is great and all, but the future of the workplace is actually going to be 3.5 days a week. Interestingly enough, I'll have to share that with you all someday when I don't have to, when I can get past the paywall. Anyway, greetings everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today as we welcome Dr. Tiffanne Thomas on. We're discussing how her organization is pretty much helping to transform young men in Bermuda. And on this show, Maya has reported many times of, road fatalities, just collisions, violence. And I'm not a genius and I don't have actual stats, but something tells me the data would show 90% impact Black males in Bermuda. So looking forward to the conversation with Dr. Thomas this morning. The Daily Play, it's music today. Yeah, it's music today. So because I'm alone, someone will get the opportunity to win a prize. All right, so stay tuned for that. Please don't forget to subscribe on our website, follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve the community. All right, then. Let's get to it. So I don't know if you've been tuned in as of late. Yes, there's marches that have been going on, protests been happening. Thank you so much, Miss Ingham. She says, I love your music, beginning and ending. Thank you. So not sure if you've been paying attention, folks, all right? But there is something happening outside of just the protest in Bermuda, right? And I'm on LinkedIn a lot. So being on LinkedIn, I get to see things that may not be on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. But there was a tech summit happening in Bermuda. And I read this Royal Gazette headline, and it said, Premier pitches Bermuda as the right tech hub. Yes, Premier David Burt. Yeah, the same premier that you all were upset with when government had a cyber attack incident, who left the island for, prearranged business overseas. That's the same premier. Yes. So Premier Burt pitches Bermuda as the right tech hub. Tech means technology. I'm not joking. I'm being very serious right now. So let me go on. So in the Royal Gazette, it said the Bermuda Tech Summit kicked off with David Burt, the premier, cataloging the strengths of the jurisdiction and its potential as a technology hub, from its entrepreneurial spirit to its world-class and highly innovative regulator. Quote, I think we have a pretty good group of evangelists who understand that there is expertise that exists in Bermuda that doesn't exist in other places, end quote. Mr. Burt said to a crowded Harborview ballroom at the Hamilton Princess and Beach Club. So I'm just going to put it out there. The question, very simple question, direct question this morning. What kind of technology that you enjoy elsewhere would you like to experience in Bermuda? The premier believes that Bermuda is, according to the Royal Gazette again, he believes it's the right tech hub, right? Going to be honest, when I think of tech, I don't think of Bermuda. When I think of Bermuda, I think of, captive and reinsurance. That's what I think first, and then maybe tourism down the road. But I don't consider Bermuda tech. But what do I know? I'm not in those spaces. But the question of the morning is, what kind of technology that you enjoy elsewhere would you like to experience in Bermuda? Since we're a tech hub, right? We're the right place for tech. What technology would you like to see in Bermuda? Well, Charles H. Jeffers II says, had a cyber attack. Is it over? Are we back to our semi-tech normal? Well, let me correct my language, because you're absolutely correct. Bermuda is undergoing, is currently experiencing some issues from a cyber attack incident. That's better, because he's right. My language, I have to be correct. Bermuda, the government of Bermuda, under the Premier David Burt, who says we're the right tech hub, according to the Royal Gazette, is experiencing the impact of a cyber attack, right? So, yeah, that's better. But what are your thoughts, audience? What technology that you experience elsewhere you'd like to see in Bermuda? Like, what is something, if we're supposed to be, like, I know people were saying, Cash App. People were saying Cash App a couple months ago, because Cash App must have registered in Bermuda. So people were saying Cash App. I know for years and years, people have been saying, oh, Bermuda needs ride share, right? But what comes to mind for you? What is it that you enjoy in your travels, maybe to New York or throughout the US and Canada, maybe in Europe, even South America? What do you enjoy? Even let's think of the other islands south to us in the Caribbean. What kind of technology have you enjoyed there that you would like to see in Bermuda to really feel like we're technologically advancing or advanced? What kind of technology? Because I know people, and I'm sure you know people, who have had a lot of ideas when it comes to tech, but they complain about red tape, right? They complain about red tape. So what comes to mind? Again, ride share and transportation, that's been an easy one that people have been discussing for ages, right? That's something that people have forever been saying, we have an issue with our taxi situation. We can never find a taxi. We need ride share. And I say, well, we've got Hitch. Well, Hitch isn't enough. So what's on your mind? What do you think? What do you enjoy that you would like to see? I mean, I'm not gonna brag, or I don't want to come across like I'm bragging, but I have a protein shake before this show every morning. And on Monday evening, I realized that I was out of protein powder. And so I ordered on Amazon, because it was the quickest to do at the time. I needed my protein shake for the next morning. I don't know how I'll function without it. It's like people and their coffee. So what I did is I went on Amazon, and it said, oh, it's available to be delivered between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. the next morning. My hope would be, oh, it'll come at 4 a.m. The time I go out for my jog, I'll come and it's here, and I would be able to have my protein shake. Well, I ordered it. I got home about 6 p.m. I ordered it at 6 p.m. It was at my door about 8:30 p.m. That is something that I don't think I will ever experience in Bermuda, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong, because Technologically advanced doesn't mean bringing other companies into Bermuda. It could simply mean giving people in Bermuda the opportunity to exist like other companies that you've experienced and enjoyed elsewhere, right? So, for instance, um, I could probably get that same protein powder from a People's Pharmacy, but me waiting to the last minute, 8 o'clock at night, People's might be closed. Well, who's to say they may not say if there's a need and a demand? Okay, you want this at this time, we'll have it delivered like Amazon if there's demand. That's some technology some people may want to see. All right. So, again, question of the morning: what kinds of technology that you enjoy elsewhere would you like to see and experience in Bermuda? Ebony Souza says better banking and financial apps, live notifications, subscription tracking, credit tracking, etc. I must say, you all know me. I have a lot of different credit cards because I was working in tourism. I was on every airline, so I really do enjoy the apps for various reasons. Helps you keep track of credit scores, like helps you keep track of spending or lack thereof. Make sure that everything's aligned with your credit score in a U.S. context. So no, I definitely feel you on that, Ebony. Getting up to speed on um, financial banking apps. Sean DeShield says an app to inform passengers about the location of buses and estimated arrival times. Maya said first thing I asked her, she said transportation, and I told her, man, that was mine. This right here is brilliant, Sean. This is so brilliant that I can't see it ever happening. But you know what? I'm going to stop that negativity. I'm going to speak positivity. I'm going to say Sean just laid down an opportunity for Bermudians just now. Let's find a way to create an app that passengers can download to know the location of their buses and estimated arrival times. I would trust an entrepreneur to do it. I'm not quite sure the bus schedule people have it down though. But I like that idea. I love that idea, Sean. Keep them coming, folks. What is something you experience elsewhere that you'd like to enjoy in Bermuda? What is something that I'll give another one. So I have global entry. I know a lot of other Bermudians are starting to get global entry, right? The benefits of global entry, I'm telling you, if you have a lack of patience like me, you don't have to wait in lines when going through U.S. Customs, but you also get TSA, meaning if I have a flight, a 7 a.m. flight, I'm comfortable enough knowing I don't have to be at that airport at 5 a.m. I can probably get there 30 minutes later. You may be saying, oh, just 30 minutes. That's a big time difference when you're tired and you need that extra 30 minutes of sleep. Why can't Bermuda create something like that to better the travel experience? That's something that we can think about. Again, question is, what's something you enjoy elsewhere that you would like to experience in Bermuda? Emily Gale Dills says, sure. She said delivery apps would deliver it in the hour regarding something like Amazon. Cash App is a must. Cash App is a must. I've never used Cash App. I've been in the US for a very long time. I've never used Cash App. I use Zelle. So I'm guessing Cash App's like Zelle. I know people always putting Cash App like details online, but I've never used it. I use PayPal and Zelle, but I know PayPal, people have been asking to use PayPal. It would be so much easier for businesses in Bermuda as well for PayPal, but Cash App's definitely one people have been calling for. And it's the same premise, I think, as a Zelle, is to really just transfer people money with ease, right? Bank with ease. Karen Simmons says, Sean DeShields, you and I had the same idea. They had the same idea. They had the same exact idea. And I'm glad people are thinking like this. I'm glad people are thinking like this. Again, folks, what kind of technology that you enjoy elsewhere would you like to experience in Bermuda? What is something that you enjoy in your favorite vacation spot that you would like to experience in Bermuda? Any kind of technology. Some ideas so far this morning: banking, better financial banking apps, an app that helps you track public transportation, right? I said myself, we've mentioned ride share, but how about making travel easier for Bermudians? I mean, everyone has to go through the same security. Why not have both security open? People who pay and have been approved, like a global entry, get fast track through security in Bermuda. Like simple things like that from a travel aspect. I know in Jamaica, they have lounges. Once you arrive, you can go sit in a lounge and you get preferential treatment. Something like that can make a difference in the travel experience in Bermuda. I'm thinking tourism, obviously, so forgive me. But yeah, technology. Sean DeShield says TSA has an app that informs passengers about the estimated security wait time at most U.S. airports. Yeah, that could be something that helps people as well. I like that, Sean. I mean, mind you, I'm showing off my global entry. I don't really worry about that, Sean. But no, that's a fair point. TSA wait times, because I tell you, there's nothing like getting to an airport and you're rushing, and that wait is longer than expected, and you're worried and you're sweating. But it's nothing like knowing that, you know what, wait time's not so bad. I'm still going to get there early, but at least I don't have to worry about missing my flight or being late. Uh, Question: what kinds of technology that you enjoy elsewhere would you like to experience in Bermuda? What kind of technology you experienced on your most recent trip outside of Bermuda that you're like, man, I wish we had that in Bermuda. I wish we could do that in Bermuda. Charles H. Jeffs II says online government submission and tracking of applications such as passports and work permits, etc. Okay. I don't have a Bermuda passport. I haven't had one applied for one in quite a while. So you're telling me that when you apply for a passport in Bermuda, you have to still call? They don't have any way of tracking the process or progress of your passport? Now, I'm speaking as a person who just got my US passport last year, where you can track every step of the way. Are you telling me, Charles, are you sure you cannot track work permits or passports online? Is this fact? Please tell me that's not true. This is 2023. I mean, you heard how we started the conversation. The premier, according to the Royal Gazette, pitched Bermuda as the right tech hub. Audience, we have to be able to track passports. I mean, especially with the wait. Weren't the wait times like 10 months last year? How were people finding out? Were they calling the office? I don't know. Ebony Souza says a live traffic app includes road conditions, potholes, oil spills, detours / road work closures, accidents. So I use an app. I don't know if you all have heard an app called Waze, WAZE, right? I use Waze for a couple reasons. One, so yesterday morning, for instance, it told me not to take my normal way to work because of an accident or traffic. So it tells you how to save time, like what's the quickest way. It may not be the quickest way every day because there could be something that's happening. The other thing, it lets you know when something's in the road, or like it could be a pothole. When I first started using Waze some years ago, I was like, Bermuda needs this app. Bermuda needs someone to create a Waze app. And that app is so helpful. Again, potholes, right? Obviously, it lets you know where the police are and so on. But I mean, it's helpful for me. Not because I'm doing anything wrong, but because I am a black man driving in America. Let's just keep it real. But my point is, I think this app is long overdue and well needed for Bermuda, if you ask me. So my hope is that, Ebony, someone with some tech interest develops it. Sean DeShield says Jamaica has an online pre-arrival customs and immigration app for passengers to be pre-cleared upon arrival and skip the long lines at Sangster International Airport. I love that. I love that. I absolutely love that. We've got, wow, you all are coming with the ideas this morning. Emily Dill says our passports are handled by the UK. So, no, I know that. So, are we not able to track them while they're in the UK? Like, can we not track them? That if they're handled by the UK, we should be able to track online, right? Sophia Smather says, Passports can be tracked. Bermuda passports have no tracking available. She means UK passports can be tracked. Bermuda passports have no tracking available. You must call, and they don't even know the exact stage, but that it is in the UK. That's insane. That's insane. I mean, is there nothing the government can do? I know that the government doesn't process the passports, but at least they can like get the UK to treat the Bermuda passport like a UK passport where people can track it. That's nah, come on. Angeline Butler says, yes, I like Waze. Waze will change your life in so many different ways. See what I did there? I'm hilarious, I tell you. Oh, shucks, that's your joke of the morning. I haven't given you all one of those in a while. Emily Gilder says, Waze and other travel apps work here. I've never tried Waze in Bermuda, but interesting. So, but would Waze allow you to update where potholes are in Bermuda? Like, does it have that kind? And Ebony Susan says, exactly, Jamal. Burmy Girl says, no electronic checking if passports or work permits. Work permits are cross your fingers and pray for a less than 8-week turnaround. Wowzers. Really? I'm learning a lot today. You all are teaching me. I mean, I'm still stuck on what Senator Emily Gill Dillon said. Like, okay, the passports are processed in the UK, but if we can get tracking on UK passports, why can't we get tracking? That's something that we need to speaking to our MPs about. I'm sorry. That's not acceptable. Karen Simmons says, tap to pay to get on and off the public transportation in parking lots. Okay, we're getting some. I like this. Renee Simmons says Bitcoin kiosk, but it will never happen here. Digital banking platforms, which are more efficient and faster in transmittals globally. Digital event purchase kiosk. I remember when I first moved to Florida, I saw quite a few Bitcoin. I guess they were like ATM things. And then within a year, they were all gone. So I was wondering what happened to them. But I mean, you can't really say you're a digital or a tech hub, right? If people can't get these kind of things that you say you're promoting. Charles H. Jefferson II says, if you can track the status of applications, it's a secret. Well, I think we did get the answer, Brother Charles, that you can track the UK one, but you can't track the Bermuda passport in the UK's hands. Charles H. Jefferson II says Skyboard has the ability to provide a pre-check line. If we're a business hub, we should make it easier for business travelers. For those who don't know, you get pre-check with global entry. Yeah. I'm telling you, man, global entry has changed my travel experience. If you know me, I did not like traveling after 9/11. As a child, I had no responsibilities. It was just, great getting on an airplane. After 9/11, the travel experience changed, as many of you would know. I didn't like airports. I felt everyone was treated like a criminal. It wasn't like, it's almost like you get interrogated by every step of the way and so on. Global entry has made me feel at ease in airports again. Like, okay, cool. I'm relaxed. I'm going to enjoy myself, even if I'm returning to home, right? But it's a game changer. And I'll give you this example. If you've ever traveled through Miami International Airport, personally, it's probably one of the worst points of entry in the United States I've ever experienced, personally for me. Ever since I've had global entry and come through that airport, whew, I mean, easy. The people were even nicer at the airport. The customs and immigration people were nicer. It just changed my life, man. It's been wonderful. Renee Simmons says the UK updates on your UK passport through the entire process via email, not Bermuda, so it can be done through Bermuda as well. I'm confused. That confused me a bit. Jackie Eve said ability to submit the Bermuda passport Oh, submit. Sorry. Yes, yes, submit. The ability to submit the Bermuda passport online. She made it there. Yeah. The ability to submit. Yeah, that would be helpful, right? But I don't think I could submit my US passport online. I think we you have to go to a post office or somewhere and they have to verify that it's you. So you have to go through a verification process. Um, I know in Bermuda you just get someone to sign the back of your passport picture to verify it's you, but here you go to a passport to somewhere that processes passports or does them for you. Charles H. Jeffs II says, I also have Clear, which makes it even faster. Well, brother Charles, I mean, I want to get on your level someday, but Clear is awesome, folks. I think the only difference is it's a 5-year payment for global entry. Clear, I believe you have to pay for it every year, but it's even faster. And if you have a good, clean criminal record, then you should be eligible for most of them if you have a UK passport, I believe. I don't think you're eligible on a Bermuda passport. This has been great conversation. Keep them coming, though, folks. Let us know what technology that you enjoy elsewhere would you like to experience in Bermuda? What kind of things would you like? Went to Home Depot last night. Quick story. So I was like, my dad's like, oh, we could go to Home Depot. I'm like, Home Depot is probably closed because I needed some tape. It's like, no, Home Depot is not closed. And this is me. Keep in mind, I've lived in the US half of my life at this point. It's like 8 something. So it's like, okay, let me check. Home Depot closed at 10. So then I looked at the hours. It says open 6 a.m., closes 10. And it got me thinking, Bermudian businesses don't open like that. No, this is not a criticism. It's all about supply and demand. If you're in a Bermuda business and you know that people are not coming in to purchase after a certain time or before a certain time, no, you don't do it. So, thanks for the advice, Charles H. Jeff II says, many credit cards give you a discount on Clear. Okay, cool. Thanks for that. All right, let's bring Maya Palacio in for the Daily Hour Newsbreak. I wonder what she would say, what kinds of technology that she enjoys elsewhere would she like to experience in Bermuda. And don't forget, we have Dr. Tiffanne Thomas coming on. We're talking about how her organization is transforming young men's lives, especially young Black males. I'm looking forward to the conversation. Stick with us for that. Let's get Maya Palacio in here for the Daily Hour Newsbreak.
Good morning. Good morning.
Greetings, MP. How are you?
I'm feeling okay today. Just still trying to keep up with everything that's going on. It feels like Wednesday felt like just a catch-up day,
Yeah. Well, you know what? I know you got a lot to chat about, but I gotta ask you. I mean, technology. I mean, what is it? You're very techy. You're into this stuff. Well, what would you say like that you enjoy outside of Bermuda that you're like, no, we need this in Bermuda?
It has to, like, I feel like everyone said it, but it just has to be a transportation. Because when I was in school, the shock and amazement on my face that you can tell when the bus was coming by just going on like Google Maps or something, and like it tells you all the routes that you can take and how long, like all of that. And I was just like, I can't believe Bermuda doesn't have this. Like for how small we are, I was really shocked. I remember my first year and just being like, how do we not have this? We have like such a small island. Can't we just tell when buses are coming? Can't they do this? But yeah, I think that's something that I constantly hope and wish that we can get one day in Bermuda, because I think that'll make people even use the public transportation more if they just knew when it was coming.
Yeah. No, indeed. I love those ideas. And I like the fact, look, public transportation makes life so much easier. It really does. Having lived in New York City, benefiting from it. Not the cleanest, but definitely convenient. So no, I completely understand.
Yeah. And I think I want to say that it was my conversation when I had with Misha Fabler, actually, and I talked about this with him. And one point that he did bring up was like, buses already don't even really bring that much revenue in for Bermuda. And so to actually put like funds into what that might not be an option for, government policy, because like it's not really generating any type of revenue. And so, but I'm like, but you got to think of the outweigh what type of benefits can come from it, though, like better for our tourists and better for our people. So, but
No, for sure. Greater picture. What you got for us today?
Well, good morning, everyone. This is the Daily Hour News Break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Starting out early, we're talking still about the protests. So, just protests in general, what they're doing right now in Bermuda. I went on Media Maya and I asked the question, yes or no, and you guys, you can answer here too. I can do that. So, yes or no, everyone in the audience, do you think protests still make an impact in 2023? Yes or no? So, that's the question that I asked, and I'm gonna put up what people put up already here. This is what I have so far. I asked it last night, so still got ways to go. But at the moment, 45% said yes and 55% said no.
Maya, can I be difficult like I am?
Mm-hmm.
I'm honestly not sure. It's like I think that reflects how I feel. I'm feeling slightly no, but I want to believe yes if done right. Because I think the problem is there seems to be a lack of organization, cohesion, collectiveness. So I feel like if it was done right, the answer would be yes. But I feel like, and when I say right, there's no perfect way. I'm not saying a perfect way, but I just mean, we don't know what time protests are happening. We don't know who's behind them. We don't know, and I'm going to be extreme right now. If there's someone who's guilty of child molestation, rape, or something like that that's leading it, I don't want to be a part of it. I need to know who's leading stuff. It does make a difference to me, right? And then what's the agenda? What's the goal? What's the purpose? So I want to say yes, they still work if done with a strategy and plan in place. But right now, I don't necessarily see it happening. And now, it could be very well, but because remember, looking from the outside in, it could very well be happening in a manner that's going to get us in a good space. But I don't know. I'm probably in agreement with those results so far.
We'll see what happens at the end of it all. But I did pose a question that would so what can we do next? So what type of protests do you believe actually make an impact? So that was the question. So just like you said, collective action and better coordination, better coordinated ones was definitely up there as the reasons. Other ones being we need a viable opposition, not a supermajority government. Needs more action than just saying you have an issue, i.e., all of us not paying the Balco bill. Something that inconveniences the mass general public. Unfortunate and annoying, but it works. Look at France. So that's another one there. And another one person said protests bring awareness, however, do not bring about real change. Real action equals real change. You could go on to read some of the other ones that are there as well.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I think I'm aligned with on that right now.
Mm-hmm. And as we're all talking about the Balco protest that was the other day, I did pose the question as to why people, why wasn't there more people at Balco? And again, the same thing, being that there was just a lack of organization, lack of demand. No one truly wants change. They will voice it for their social, but will never rise to the occasion, was one person's comment. Poor outreach and communication on when and where. A protest was never going to change anything. We should all just stop paying our Balco bill. Another person saying that one. Then we didn't know about it. People had to work, and this form of protest is ineffective. Didn't know about it. Things like that. Fear of employer reprisal. So, yeah.
All of that. Every last bit of it.
Oh, some happier news. I know it was mentioned already here on the show by an audience member, but just bigging up again, congratulations to the Bermuda Robotics team from Connect Tech Coding, because they placed 82 out of, 191 countries in the first Global Robotics Olympics. So really big ups to them. I do have a video. I know with some technical difficulties yesterday for my video, so I'm really hoping this one plays. So let's just take a look at what happened there at the
round of that last shot, doing an exceptional job using that intake system to accrue as many of those oxygen and hydrogen particles as possible. Meanwhile, Slovakia, a team we haven't talked too much about, they actually had, believe it or not, their robot burn up in the national qualifiers multiple times. So talk about putting your feet to the fire. That's a literal and metaphorical example, and we're excited to have them competing here today.
And Tim, I know it's great that we're able to see so many oxygen atoms that were placed into the electrolyzer, because that way we're able to see the human players bring them all the way to the oxygen accumulator. I'm sure that's quite a workout.
3, 2, 1, let's go.
Wow. Go on, Bermuda.
Yeah, that seems really, really cool. Like just looking at the videos, like this is what they're doing. That's really awesome. So hopefully I get to speak and connect with someone on the team that can tell us a little bit about what the entire experience was about. So that's really awesome.
For sure. Good stuff. And folks, honestly, I love the fact that this show exists to highlight things like that, because if it didn't, I wouldn't have known about that. So thank you, Rosalind Famous, who brought it to our attention on the show, Traveling Trotty, who sent us a message about it. Thank you. And thank you, Maya, for covering it and bringing, highlighting them even further.
Definitely. And you could find them on Connect Code on Instagram as well if you want to just Connect Tech Code, I believe, if you want to figure out more about what they're doing, how the team's doing. And I think this is really, really important when it comes to, we talk of Bermuda being this tech hub, having things like this actually put in place where we can actually showcase what we're able to do and people that are actually working in the field in Bermuda right now. So that's really awesome for the young people. Up next in the news, happier news that yesterday when I reported that there was a missing person, well, that person has been located. They have been located, found safe and well. That comes from the Bermuda Police Service.
Love to hear it.
Yes. And lastly on my news, as you may have heard, but a spokesman said that Bermuda Air, the first Bermuda-based airline with year-round service, announced the introduction of a dual-class cabin experience on its flights between Bermuda and popular East Coast destinations, making the airline more accessible for those seeking options to travel with the airline. The dual-class cabin will feature a combination of Bermuda Air's custom aisle-class suites and economy seats, allowing guests to choose a travel experience that align with their individual needs and preferences. The strategic shift in service plans enables Bermuda to honor its commitment, they said, to provide consistent, convenient service to and from Bermuda, while also responding to evolving market dynamics and preliminary guest feedback from its phased launch.
I'll say this. I like it. And I like that they saw an opportunity to offer more of Bermuda to the audience, to travelers. So I like it. I like that they didn't wait too long to make changes that they deem necessary. So congratulations to them, and hopefully more people get to experience Bermuda. I know I'm looking forward to it at the end of this month.
Yeah, that's exactly what the CEO actually says. So after over 170 successful flights, it's clear that there's a strong demand for direct, short-haul, and premium flights between Bermuda and the East Coast. We've had overwhelmingly positive feedback from our guests about their experience on board Bermuda, but guests also desire more options and flexibility. So that's the reason for the changes. And as for the weather today, looking like high clouds are shining at times to give some sunny periods, hopefully, throughout the day. And we have a high of 79 degrees Fahrenheit. I think I'm going to be saying the 70s for a while now that the cooler weather's coming in.
All righty. Well, Maya, thank you for that. So days of the year, I'm not going to get it wrong today. So, well, I don't know what to do here.
I can do it. It's International Day of the Girl Child.
Well, there you go. What is it?
International Day of the Girl Child today.
Really?
And I do want to give a quick shout out because I believe Mackenzie Cole-Tuckett's going to have an article placed, I believe, in the Gazette today. And it's a really good one. I already got to pre-read it, and it's something that makes you think. So
what does International Day of the Girl Child mean?
Well, on December 19th of 2011, the United Nations General Assembly adopted Resolution 66-170 to declare October 11th the International Day of the Girl Child to recognize girls' rights and the unique challenges girls face around the world.
Got it. Okay, let's celebrate it. Happy, how do you say it? Happy
International Day of the Girl Child.
Day of the Girl Child to you, Maya.
Thank you.
Maya, can you send me a daily inspiration, please?
Do I have a daily inspiration for today?
Can you send me one for later on?
Sure, I can send you one.
I put it on the spot. Thank you so much for Maya. Folks, don't go anywhere. We're coming right back. We've got Tiffanne, Dr. Tiffanne Thomas coming on right after this break, and we're going to be talking about what her organization, and the name of the organization is Transitional Community Services, what they're doing to help young men in Bermuda. Do not go anywhere. She's coming right up in about a minute and 40 seconds.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location, Some call it People's. I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's next.
Mom's celebrating her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field. Number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Jamal Hartman, that is me. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. Please don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Without further ado, let's bring in our guest for the day. We will make up time. Don't you worry. You know what we do. But let's give her a warm TDH welcome. Welcome, Dr. Tiffanne Thomas from, well, an organization I've actually grown to love only because I know what they do over the last week or two, Transitional Community Services. Give her a warm TDH welcome, folks. Good morning. Calm down, folks. Okay.
Good morning.
They get crazy. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. And you?
I'm good. Well, first of all, thanks for your patience. Thank you for hanging around. I was like, I hope she doesn't leave and think that we forgot about it.
No, I was enjoying the discussion about the technology that we can benefit from in Bermuda. Your viewers had some really great ideas. I loved the bus idea, and I agree. I think that we should be able to track our passports no different than we track our Sargasso order. So I certainly was in alignment with that.
Yeah, one seems a bit more important than the other, but we don't track it. But yeah, no. Thank you for tuning in, and hopefully you come back sometime and put something in the comments. No, thanks again for doing this. And before we get into the conversation about what Transitional Community Services actually does, just tell us a bit about yourself, your background, and what it is that you do, Dr. Thomas.
Sure. So I am the executive director of Transitional Community Services. I have worked with vulnerable populations for well over 2 decades now. I know it sounds quite crazy to be able to say that. I've worked with vulnerable populations both in Bermuda as well as in other jurisdictions. And so as I started to grow my career in Bermuda, I started to see some of the trends that we were experiencing as a community. And that led to ultimately the development of Transitional Community Services.
Nice. 2 decades. Looking like
I know. I'll take it. Black don't crack, they say.
Yeah, you're right. Gee. Someone on last week said she's been. I'm like, wow, keep eating your vegetables. That said, so here we are. Transitional Community Services. For those who don't know, and I'm going to be honest, like I just said, I learned a lot. I say to the audience all the time, when people come on, it's not just shooting the breeze, but we want to read to understand, what is this all about? And it was a wealth of information on the website. But just explain to those who may not know what Transitional Community Services actually is.
Sure. So Transitional Community Services was born out of a process of really understanding what was going on in our community. The late Mrs. Martha Dismont was one of my professional mentors very early in my career, and she remained very supportive throughout my entire career. And so she knew some of the things that I had been concerned about, some of the things that I had observed. They were things that she had observed as well as many practitioners in this space. And so in 2020, about 2020, she reached out to me and she said, "Hey, Tiffanne, remember that conversation we had about the growing needs of the young adult Black man in our community?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "Listen, I think it's time for you to really be intentional and do something about it. And I will support you as much as I can." And anybody who knew Martha knew that she was very selfless and very committed and compassionate about our community. And so certainly when she gave me her endorsement and her support in that way, I ran with it. I took it for what it was. And so I started the process by looking at some of our local data. It was important for me to look at our local data, particularly because anecdotally, we knew that the young Black men in our community were at risk. We knew that they were experiencing some difficulties. We knew that they were the ones primarily affected by some of the social issues in our community. We knew that, but I wanted to see what the data said because I wanted to develop a organization and a program that was rooted in the evidence, in the data that was relevant to our community, relevant to Bermuda. And so through the course of doing that, what I found from our national data, this is publicly available information, was that 67% of the individuals who were underemployed were Black men. 61% of those who were unemployed were Black men. And so that was a really hard statistic to see and to really sit with for a while, because as you start to consider what some of the implications of underemployment and unemployment are in any community, but certainly in Bermuda, where the cost of living is high and we have such a small community, it started to really unearth some things that had been sitting underneath the surface. So that's part of the process behind what led to the development of TCS. So when everybody else was in the middle of the pandemic and trying to figure out what was going to happen, I had the wild idea to dare to do something amazing and something provocative and something unheard of and something very scary, I'll be honest, and launch a registered charity. And so in October 2020, we got our registered charity status. And in February 2021, we launched our Community Bridge Builders program, which works with young adult men 18 to 34. We provide case management, counseling, employability, skill building, and advocacy. We have 2 leadership coaches who are the primary source of contact for the young man that we work with. Our leadership coaches are amazing, Mr. Gavin Smith and Ms. Shara Bao. They are boots on the ground in the trenches. We have a saying in TCS, we call it TCS for short because let's just be real, that's a mouthful, Transitional Community Services. But we have a saying in TCS that the T in TCS actually stands for tenacity. Our leadership coaches are very tenacious in engaging the young man that we work with. When we designed our Community Bridge Builders program, we did it with a degree of intentionality, specifically as it relates to designing a program that allows space for the lived experiences of the man to take place in our in our program. So while we had a model that we knew we wanted to implement, we also knew that we had to be informed by the lived experiences of man. We didn't want this perfect model and the man needed to fit into the box. We wanted to be able to respond to what is life like for these men in our community. And that model has been one that's paid off dividends, and it's allowed us to really create an individualized approach to the services that we provide to the at-risk man in our community.
Indeed. And you know, you said so much that I took in just now. I want to go back to something that stood out to me. And folks, I just have the stats up because, like I said, I've been reading the information from TCS, sorry, getting the acronym right, TCS. And, you know, I looked at that, there's employment. I looked at the education, right? Mm-hmm. But also what stood out to me was the incarceration. 98% of those incarcerated in Bermuda, 98% are Black males. And so that, because there are people that will sit around right now, they'll be saying, well, why is this organization, why is an organization like this necessary? Can you just go a bit deeper into that for us?
Sure. So what traditionally happens is that there are services available for children, and we have amazing services in our community. But at the age of 18, those services are no longer available because you're legally an adult. right? And so what we found through the course of our research was that there weren't any services that mirrored what would have been available during childhood to provide that wraparound support and those wraparound services. I know when I reflect on my experiences at 18, I certainly was not ready to be independent and self-sufficient. Overwhelmingly, many of the men that we work with have extensive trauma histories dating back to their childhood, and they have generational trauma histories. So they may have been victims of abuse or neglect, and their parents were also victims of abuse and neglect. So there are generational issues that we see that are prevalent with our young men. The other thing that we see with our young men is that there's an emerging pattern of mental illness. We are seeing a huge increase in the number of young men that are presenting either with a mental illness diagnosis or presenting with symptomatology, and they actually need to be assessed and diagnosed. And so when we designed our Community Bridge Builders program, we knew that many of the people that we worked with would have touched some service provider at one point or another in their lifetime prior to coming to TCS. And we also suspected that they would have some type of script attached with that experience. And so we were really intentional with the language that we used. So our leadership coaches, they provide case management support. But the men that we work with, they've had case managers in the past. And so they have a script attached to that. And so for us, we were intentional on not calling the leadership coaches case managers. It would have been very easy to call them case managers. But what we did within TCS is we created our own language so that we can start to redefine and create a new narrative for our young men. The other reason why we call them leadership coaches is because leadership is prevalent through all of our young men that we work with, no matter how at risk they are or how much difficulty they are experiencing. They are leaders in their own right, but they don't see themselves as leaders. And so I have this saying internally that leadership is a process, it's not a position. And so a lot of times we think that if somebody looks a certain way or they hold a certain position, they are a leader. But really, it's a process. And how do we empower young men to take leadership in their own lives and write the course, essentially? And so that's a lot of what we do at TCS. Overwhelmingly, the young men that come to us, they come to us for two reasons. They're looking for housing and they're looking for employment. And that can look like, I want a better job, I need a higher paying job, I need a stable job, or I need a job, period. And then housing likewise can look the same way. And so we have young men on a spectrum where we have those who are living rough and literally are sleeping in public spaces in our community. We have young men who are what we call couch surfing. They spend a few nights at this place or this of a different friend's house. And then we have young men who are living in environments that are not stable or not safe, not secure.
Well, thank you for what you're doing. I mean, I often say on this show, I know Bermudians love to compare data and stats with the United States, but it's a number of reasons we shouldn't. Number one is the demographics are very different. Number two is the size is very different. And I continue to say to this day, and this is not to say that women, especially Black women, don't have to deal with challenges in Bermuda, but if we're being honest, in Bermuda's context, Black men usually have the short end of the stick. So I'm grateful for an organization like this exists. But we do have some questions from the audience. We have Karen Simmons is asking, what is the criteria for clients to enter transitional community services? Is it only for young Black men?
That is a great question. So we accept referrals from young men who hear about our services. We accept referrals from family members, schools, other service providers. The criteria on surface is they cannot be younger than 18 and they cannot be older than 34 because we work with 18 to 34-year-olds. However, we have created a triage service because very early in our very short after launch, we started receiving referrals for people outside of our 18 to 34 demographic. And we realized that there needed to be a way to capture the needs of this group, but also recognize that we are not the answer for everybody. And so we have worked with 17-year-olds until they turn 18, and then we transition them to our Community Bridge Builders program. The Community Bridge Builders program is specifically for young Black men, primarily because it was a data-driven model, and the data indicated that that's where the need was. We have worked with young men who are not Black, and we do that through our triage service.
You know what's interesting? I know when it comes to education, a lot of people say we need more Black men in the classroom and so on. And I know you mentioned Gavin Smith, and you're a Black woman taking lead in this. And we got this question from Mark Arthur Phillips. He's saying, Dr. Thomas, what drives this passion you have for your community? And it's got me thinking. For me, while I would, having been a coach, football coach and so on, and mentors in schools, I don't possess the expertise of counseling psychology. I just don't. For me, it was just I loved football, right? And I wasn't able to be paired up with someone when I was young, when my mom put me in the Big Brothers program. So I gave back in that manner. But what you're doing is not that. It's legit. This is like, it takes some sort of expertise and understanding of getting people from that A to Z. So what drives your passion, and how do you go about surrounding yourself in the organization with people with a similar drive?
So what drives my passion, quite simply, is that I'm Bermudian. I love Bermuda. I love being Bermudian. I love our culture and I love our people. And it hurts me when I see that there are some in our community that can't be a part of the larger stream for whatever reason, right? And I think some of it is intrinsic, and it's rooted in my childhood, and it's rooted in experiences that I've had through life. I have always been called to the underdog. I've always been called to the vulnerable. I didn't know it had a name. And so it wasn't until I got into graduate school, where I was studying at Fordham University in New York. I was studying for my clinical social work degree, and Fordham University's social work program, while it was clinical, it was rooted in social justice. And it was at that time that I realized that what I naturally loved and what I was naturally called to actually had a name: social justice. I had never really known anything about it at that point. I was a young student, right? And that's where my passion comes from. My passion for Bermudian excellence, the community, our culture, and for really calling back to a time when Bermuda was a place where everybody felt some level of involvement, some level of connectedness. What we are seeing through our experience in TCS is that many of the men that we work with, they're on the outskirts of our community, and they have created their own sub-communities, which are very interesting to watch, right? And we've seen for ourselves how they evolve within their own right as a community. But it's outside of mainstream community, but they do what they need to do to meet their needs. So yeah, I hope I answered your question, Mr. Phillips, about what drives my passion.
Yeah, it was good for me. Emily Gill Dill says, I love this organization, so needed in our community. And I want to go back to coaches, because language, I mentioned that regarding something earlier, language, how it's important, and how, it's not case manager, but they're leadership coaches. What goes into ensuring that we have the right leadership coaches, and what is their overall goal, like from point A to B of the leadership coach when working with these young men?
So that's a great question. Each young man that comes to our comes into our program and gives us a yes, because our services are entirely voluntary. No young man that works with us is here because he's mandated to be here. So while we may have young men who are part of our program that are also a part of other services in our program that are mandated and have a compliance-driven model, TCS is not that model. TCS is a model that it thrives on autonomy and self-determination. So every young man that is a part of our program has opted and said, yes, I recognize I need to do some things differently, and I would love to have your support. When they become a part of our program, we administer an assessment tool to each of the young men in our program. The assessment tool is quite extensive. Our leadership coaches do that. It assesses our young men across 14 different domains, looking at areas such as employability, income, housing, mental health, substance abuse, insurance. Do you have medical needs, but you can't meet them because you don't have insurance? It is extensive. And at the end of that assessment, we get a scale which gives us a sense of their risk, their vulnerabilities, as well as their strengths, because we don't want to just look at people's deficits, right? We want to look at what are people good at and how can we build upon that. And based on that, we get a score from 1 to 5, 5 being extremely high and 1 being low. And based on that score, the leadership coach then uses that information to have guided discussions with the young man around goals that he would like to create. So the leadership coach can very easily see, oh, this man needs A, B, and C. But we're humans, right? If somebody said to you, hey, or I'll personalize it. If somebody said to me, hey, Tiffany, you're looking kind of chunky, you could stand to lose about 15 pounds. They're probably right. But the likelihood of me being like, you know what? I'm going to lose 15 pounds today, slim to none. Versus if I say, you know what? I'm realizing that my clothes fit a little differently. I probably need to make some different choices. I'd like some support around how can I get these 15 pounds off, right? Transparent. So I say all of that to say the leadership coaches have a guided conversation with the young man around what are some things that you want to do differently. Within TCS, we all believe that dreaming is universal. And I think everybody would agree with that. But opportunity and access is not. And so we work with our young men to create opportunities and create opportunities of access to support them with creating the life that they envision for themselves.
Susan Ingham, she's asking, just going back earlier, she asked us earlier, what is causing these mental health issues in our young men?
That is a great question. You may have seen my eyeballs pop open, Ms. Ingham, because it's loaded and there's no easy answer for that. But what I can say in our experience, right, and this is based on TCS experience, based on the data that we gather from our young men, we've seen a correlation between the age of use of substance abuse, the age of illicit substance use, and the likelihood of there being some mental health concerns. The human brain actually develops up until the age of 25. So while chronologically and legally we are 18, we are adults, our brains are still developing. And so at the age of 18, we may legally be allowed to engage in certain activities that we couldn't engage in as children, but our brains are still developing. And so we had an experience it's so funny that she should ask that, because I was reminded of this experience this morning when I was getting ready for this interview. We had an experience in our program one day with a young man who was in our building working on some employment related stuff. And he'd left for a little while to go get lunch or something in Hamilton. And when he came back, there was a stark difference in his presentation and his behavior. And he was actually he was in an active psychotic state. He was having an episode. And once we were able to, peel back the layers and get some level of clarity, he had revealed to us that when he left, he went and engaged in the use of illicit substances. And we saw it live and in action. And it was very difficult to watch because the young man had no sense of reality. So certainly I don't have the answer to that question. That's the $1 million question, Ms. Ingham. But those are some of the things that we see in TCS. Additionally, we also see a lot of our young men have had pervasive trauma issues and trauma histories, and they've gone unresolved. So these sorts of things do have an impact on one's ability to cope, one's ability to function, and certainly one's brain chemistry. There's a lot of research around the impact of trauma and our brain and the relationship it has on the brain's ability to function and develop effectively.
Alrighty. And before you head out, I've enjoyed this. But just tell us, how can people who, should they want to learn more or know someone who needs service, how can they get in touch?
Sure. So we have a website. It's tcscharity.bm. On our website, you will see information about our program as well as ways that you can refer. There is a link there for submitting referrals. If you choose to send a referral through our website, you can be assured that it is 100% secure and 100% confidential. It actually comes directly into our database and we are notified internally. No one else has access to that information. It's very important for us to honor the privacy of the man that we work with, not just because we're a small community, but because that's an ethical obligation when you're in this space. We also have an email address that you can contact us on. It's info info@tcscharity.bm. And then we have socials as well. And there's one thing that I want to say, and I'm so grateful that Jamal has given me the opportunity to say it. So I've talked about the services that we provide through our Community Bridge Builders program, which is case management, counseling, employability skill building, and advocacy. Through our employability skill building, in an approach to provide employability skill building training, we have developed what is known as a skills development opportunity. We call it an SDO. And essentially, that's an opportunity that our young men have to learn skills in the workplace while being supported by their leadership coach. What we found is many of the young men who come to us and say that they need jobs, and they rightly do, they lack the very basic skills to, one, get in the door, 2, open the door, and 3, stay behind the closed door. And so our guys can get jobs, but they can't keep them. Or they have a hard time even getting jobs because they lack experience. And so that led to the birth of our skills development opportunities, where we partner with businesses in our community that are willing and able to provide a space for our young men to get on the job training or just on the job experience so that they can then grow their resume and grow their network. That's one of the things that we found through the course of our Community Bridge Builders program. So we're very grateful to the businesses that we partner with who have been able to support our young man. And certainly if there are any business owners on this who are like, you know what, I have a space for that. It's a partnership between TCS, the young man, and the business. The leadership coach is there on the ground providing support so that the business owner can actually run their business and not have to provide this level of support. That's not what businesses are in the business for. And so we're very excited about the Community Bridge Builders program. Again, you can check us out on tcscharity.bm, or you can send us an email at info@tcscharity.bm.
All right. This has been awesome. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
Making time and doing this. And we definitely don't want you to be a stranger. So we'll be probably reaching out to
no problem.
Specifically on certain topics within what you do. So Dr. Thomas, thank you so much. And please have a wonderful day. And thank everyone at your organization for the work they're doing as well on behalf of.
Thank you. We are so grateful for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, folks. Dr. Tiffanne Thomas, if you appreciated that conversation, found it helpful, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Do not go anywhere. We're going to come back. Someone's going to get a chance to win a $25 gift voucher to a sponsor of their choice. Stick with us. We'll be back after this.
Ordering from ER Fisheries has just gotten simpler. With just a few clicks of a button, you can place an order for next-day delivery or same-day pickup. Our ever-expanding list of offerings now include grocery pantry items, specialty meats, and bread and dairy items. We know things have been hard, and we're here to make planning for your next meal or party easy. Whether you're a vegetarian or a meat eater, we have what you're looking for. And best of all, it can be delivered to your door in 24 hours or less. Go to www.erfisheries.bm and check out our wide range of seafood, beef, lamb, pork, poultry, fruits, vegetables, and plant-based products, all available at reasonable prices. That's www.erfisheries.bm.
All righty, welcome back. Thanks again to Dr. Tiffanne Thomas from TCS. Really great conversation about things happening, resources for Black men in Bermuda in particular. Thanks again to the BAC group of companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring we can have these conversations with you on a regular basis. Again, if you appreciated today's conversation and discussion, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. It's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, audience, here you go. It's music today. First person to answer correctly that shows up on our screen, my screen, will get themselves a $25 gift voucher. Sheldon Fox, you must send us an email at engage@thedailyhour.com to collect your winnings from last week. Here we go. Wyclef said he'll be gone until when? Souza is the winner. He'll be gone till November. All right. You know what? Adeline said it secondly on my screen, and Mark said it third. I thought Mark probably would have got that, boom, one time, but you know what? Delays happen. Ebony, please send us an email, engage@thedailyhour.com. ASAP, so we can get you a $25 voucher to a sponsor of your choice. Look, let me just wrap it up today. As far as technology, things that I experienced elsewhere that I believe could, I'd love to experience and enjoy in Bermuda. I would say, from a travel perspective, maybe I'm thinking small, but from a travel perspective, I like the idea of convenient travel. A TSA line when leaving Bermuda, when arriving in Bermuda, a different experience. Now, I do think Bermuda's experience is seamless coming through now compared to what it was, but overall, just creating easier experiences. So creating a global entry or some sort. A lot of wonderful ideas, especially about transportation, tracking apps, and the like. I know people for ages have said rideshare. I think we should continue these conversations, and that's why I encourage you all to share them with your friends, your family, WhatsApps, YouTube, whatever, so that we can not just talk about it, but find ways to make these things happen. All right. As far as Dr. Tiffanne Thomas, look, Black men, you heard it, 98% of people incarcerated in Bermuda are Black men. 98%. 98%. 67% of those underemployed in Bermuda, Black men. %61% of the unemployed, Black men. I'm grateful an organization like this exists. And my hope is that it delivers the results that our community needs, not just for Black men, but for all of us, everyone, the greater community. Thanks again to Dr. Thomas, and all the best to her and her team. Folks, before we head out, let me just give you your E.R. Fisher's daily inspiration for the day. Quote, the measure of a country's greatness is its ability to retain compassion in times of crisis, end quote. That is Thurgood Marshall, a jurist, civil rights activist, and a lawyer. Folks, please don't forget to subscribe on our website and follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy, for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. I'm Jamel Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We're out for the day. Peace.